So, of course, we're here today to talk about your book, Stephen's War. What made you want to write a book? Like, what inspired you?
Always loved the comic book superhero genre, right? I remember, my dad taking me to see the first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire and kind of being blown away by this world, right? So ever since then, I just I've loved it, right?
Hmm.
And this opportunity kind of came across my lap to write this book, and I said, well, because I have had some experience writing screenplays, but yeah, writing a book, it's such a different form of expression, right? Because when you're writing the screenplay, it's obviously film is very visual and it's what's on screen, but when you can write a book, it's more about the details. And this book is very details driven in a fun way. What inspired me was wanting to give back to this awesome community of comic books and superheroes, this legacy, and also doing my part to make it more diverse, create more representation, because you don't really have too many LGBT vigilantes
Hmm.
um, that are out there. So it was a way for me to be different.
I completely agree with you. But for fans who don't know, what is Stephen's War about?
Stephen's War takes place in 2009. It is about he's in Bagram, Afghanistan, during the "Don't Ask, Don't Tell" period of the military,
Hmm.
which basically said that a soldier could be gay as long as they don't come out about it, and if they do come out about it, they could be discharged. Story kicks off right from there, and it only moves forward with this theme of being gay and not feeling accepted, trying to balance American patriotism with individuality, and it definitely plays the themes of masculinity, heteronormativity, and um, yeah, and while at the same time also following, paying homage to some of the beloved tropes of the genre, right? With having those incredible losses that motivates the character to take on this vigilante path. If that makes sense. But yeah, it's really about this guy in a nutshell, just trying to figure it out and trying to accept himself and move on from his past demons.
What did you prioritize during the writing and creative process for your book?
I actually would argue that the outlining part of my prep was more difficult than
Hmm.
pumping out a first draft. Because for me, when I started this, there were so many different things I wanted to do, and it was overwhelming. And I went through about three or four different versions of an outline that would kind of guide me through this tunnel. And I think looking back on it, the number one thing I prioritized was the characters. The plot I think should always take a backseat to the character, because if
Hmm.
you don't care about who you're reading about, then there's nothing's going to excite you anyways. So I really wanted to make Stephen and his story vulnerable, and I wanted him to feel relatable to no matter who you are, whether you're gay or not. And this is a character who is dealing with a bit of an identity crisis. He has all these mixed feelings, and I think especially during this time with the pandemic, where we're all kind of scared and uncertain, it makes him super relatable in that sense. So yeah, I would really say that I prioritize the character, and even like his main antagonist, Frank Payne, who's kind of this, hot tempered mobster guy. While he is this vicious kind of animal in a sense, right? He's also a broken soul as well, and I make sure to kind of shine some light on that as well, so you kind of understand where his pain and trauma, comes from.
I feel like character development is so important, so it's so nice to see that you put so much time into really developing your characters.
That's what I love the most, even about the movies that have inspired me. I'll go back to that original Spider-Man movie. As awesome as it was from a technological achievement, I
Mhm.
think it set the stage for everything we see now. That's the Spider-Man character. We love him because he's kind of this working class hero, right? And it's about a guy trying to balance everything that's on his plate, and he brings out the best in all of us. And I think that's what we love about the genre as a whole, or any movie or show.
We know writing a book's not easy. What obstacles, if any, did you face during the whole process?
I think for one, because I was with the publisher, so there certainly were deadlines. So I wrote the book really from. I signed on to do this program from. It was around December when I was approached. I would say January was my prep month, so really it was around February when I started to really write it,
Mhm.
and I had it until about June. And I'm very hard on the material, so before I would give it to somebody to read, Yeah, I constantly be looking over and going all the way up until last month when we kind of really kind of like closed the door, like, okay, no more tinkering. And because I'll work on something until it drives me nuts. And it's trying to respect that my editors have other people they need to work with too. And yeah, I would say just being able to let go, even something as simple as like the cover, like the back cover design. I was
Oh, wow.
spending way too much time than I should have on it, but I did. And you know, so yeah, I'd say just sticking to the deadlines was my biggest challenge.
And you define Stephen's War as a comic book narrative. When did your passion for comics and that whole like industry come about?
It was really when I was like 5 years old, but even like before that, I was actually thinking about this the other night. I don't know. I mean, I remember, I guess, like 3 years old, liking like the Christopher Reeve Superman movie. I remember my dad taking me to see the Spider-Man movie. Loved that. Then the Ang Lee Hulk movie I loved. The Ben Affleck Daredevil. I actually think that was a really cool movie. And then from there, I mean, that's kind of it's just been throughout my whole childhood up until now. And obviously, in the last 10, 15 years or so, we've seen such a spark and rejuvenation into the genre, and they're constantly changing what they're doing and innovating between Marvel and DC doing their shared universes to now tinkering with these multiverses. It's all cool stuff, and
Mhm.
it's exciting that they keep raising the bar. I've been
Definitely.
following, and Sony, they're doing a lot of stuff right now where they may integrate, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, and
I like
there's
that.
nothing like there's nothing like official, but like they also
Mhm.
like release this Latin America trailer where they're like, anything is possible, and for me, especially right now with the pandemic and everything, like it's just something to look forward to. Like wow, so I don't know, they just do a good job of staying in your face.
I know that GLAAD was a promotional partner with you on like for your book. What was that like and how did that partnership come about?
It was an absolute honor, and I just feel so humbled and excited and just really proud to call them a promotional partner, and it has been so great to me. And it came about so one of my career mentors, really the first guy to really give me my big break, was this man named Brian Ruggiero, and he's really big within the media world, and
Mhm.
he won a GLAAD Media Award a few years ago for a piece he wrote. And he's just always been so kind to me. And I was actually, it's funny because yesterday I was actually thinking, like, I feel like I'm thanking Brian every other day for something, So he really, and I thank him in the book as well. And he's just one of the best people I've ever met. And he put me in contact with Rich Ferrero, pronouncing that correctly. And Rich is the chief communications officer of GLAAD, and I gave him an early manuscript, and he really liked what he read, and we just been working together. I'm also working with the New Jersey LGBT Chamber of Commerce, so they're all great over there as well. I've been working specifically with Joe Renga, who's their president, and he's also, I mean, that's the great thing about writing this book is I've met so many wonderful people. I mean, from my team at New Degree Press to some
Mhm.
of these promo partners, it's just been such an honor, and that's arguably been the best part. I think that's what media can do as a whole, right? It brings people together. Like even like right now, like, now we're friends. So
Yeah.
that's the great thing about pop culture and media, and especially during a time like now where there's so much division in the world. It's good to try to bring people together, doing our little parts.
What did you learn about yourself from writing the book?
I definitely, I for a while, I've written a few screenplays,
Mhm.
and that was kind of something that I loved. And I always thought, okay, well, I always used to define being a writer as okay, screenplays, and that's it. But over even the last few years, I mean, I've written a lot for CNBC and Yahoo Finance. It's funny because I never even took one journalism class before that. I think it's always, you know, take opportunities as they come, even if it's not exactly what you expect or think. I mean, it's something that you could really enjoy. And so it was another one of these situations where writing a book was being able to utilize that creativity muscle within me. And, I actually really like writing books. I mean, I think screenplays, I definitely want to write more. And that's always kind of been my first love to some degree because it's
Mhm.
just, I guess, like the first kind of expression that I've ever felt, if that makes sense. But writing a book, it's very liberating. In the way, as I said, you get to really dive deeper into backstories and details, and you could do things that you can't do in a screenplay. But I definitely need to like accredit my journalism skills to being able to write this book. Specifically, one of my mentors who I also think in the book, Eric Rosenbaum, he was one of my bosses over at CNBC, and he's somebody who really pushed me as a writer, really pushed me, really helped me kind of hone my craft. And a lot of what I learned with him is definitely kind of integrated within this book in terms of language and just details and voice and individuality. And
Mhm.
so I mean, I don't think I'd be able to write Steven's War without writing all the screenplays that I've written, because you start to get an understanding of story, and plot points and formulas. And then from my time as a journalist, um further installing those lessons and teaching me a few more things along the way as well. It all really connects beautifully.
It's all a learning process. That's what I find with any project. When and where will your book be out for like fans to read it and maybe buy it?
Coming out at some point next week. You could follow me, Donovan X Russo, on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, Donovan Russo 27, or you can visit my website, donovanrusso.com. The book's coming out at some point next week, just because the publishers, they have like 200 other books they're also publishing as well at the same
Wow.
time. Yeah, yeah. So it's some point next week it'll be coming out, the week of December 7th. And yeah, and then also with that, I have a little special promo. The ebook will be available for the month of December for only 99 cents, and then you could get the paperback for 17.